Hello wanderers and welcome back to my channel. Landis here for another build video, this time going around the new CAN YUE prototype, which was the battlecruiser that we received for free. Basically yesterday as I was playing from day one, I had the luxury of receiving 30 days later. This is a very ugly ship. It was given free and it has some interesting characteristic that we'll discover together and see how best to outfit the ship and take a little look at what skills we can take to kind of optimize further on the build. So let's take a look at the trait descriptions. I can see for this prototype you don't have any bonuses bound to specific skills. You get only a roll bonus, which will basically be active as soon as you board the ship. You get things which are bound to your main weapon, which will be decomposers, hefty 50% damage bonus, which is very nice, and a bit of extra range as well. We get some shield modifier as well, a bit of increase, 15%. Not sure why they didn't include it directly into the profile of the ship and have directly the shields it point, but anyway, we kind of nice, so we won't complain about this and we will take it as this ship is mainly a shield tank. It's fitting very nicely with the overall build of the ship, and we get also a +1 warp stability, which means that it needs at least two warp to actually deactivate or capacity to escape a fight. So either 2 ships with a level 1 warp disruptors or a ship with a level 2. So in terms of fitting, what did we go for? For the high slot, I mean, this was a no-brainer. We received the weapon for free. We have a hefty bonus both for range and damage, so basically we went for the decomposers, the jet stream decomposers that we receive as part of the daily reward. Mainly kinetic and thermal damage, so will be very nice on armor, a bit less most likely on shields. But anyway, as you can see from the DPS, the overall effectiveness of the weapon is quite good. So overall, with the 4 fitted, I have a DPS around 245 with the skill that I have, and that I show that later on, but also with the different items that I rigged into the ship. Decomposers is basically working as a turret, but it has no fall-off range, so you just have the optimal range, like for missiles and torpedoes. So it means that anything that is below the optimal range you can hit, anything that is above the optimal range you miss. Here, with all the fittings that I have, I get an optimal range of 32 kilometers, which is already quite decent, and you can already see that the ship will be more than capable of orbiting at range and being outside of the effective range of some of the other weapons. Downside of the decomposers, you get a hefty activation cost, 32 gigajoule. This is quite significant, and this is really one of the downfall of the ship, and you really need to take care of your capacitor management if you want to go into the direction having the decomposers and being able to really maintain yourself in the heat of battle for extended period. Capacitor management and strengthening will be at the core of the build. Other downside of the weapon is the tracking speed. As you can see here, it is already boosted by some of the skills or items that I have on the ship, but it is quite low, and so it means that ships that will enter a range of 10 or less kilometers, they will be nearly impossible for you to hit. So that's really a blind spot for the ship, and we will see later on in this video that we outfitted also some mid-slot specifically to compensate for that. So first thing is the capacitor that we need to manage. Second is, I would say, the clumsiness of the weapon. It cannot easily follow target and fast moving target. So those are two items that we will need to closely try to mitigate in the build. And I mean, the third area of focus is really maintaining the shield. If we look at the overall defense of this battle cruiser, you see that we have around 17k defense score, which is nice, but it is mainly around and centered around the shield and the internal structure. 5k in structure, 7k in shield, and a minimalist 2k in armor. So it means that when your shield will be depleted, your armor will be gone in a matter of minutes, if not less. And so that is really the signal when you need to warp out of combat if you really want to save your ship, as this is a very slow moving beast. You see here I get a max velocity of 150 meters per second, which is very slow. So this ship will not behave like a frigate, far from that. No speed tanking with this one, but on the other hand, you get a very strong DPS and a very decent amount of shielding. So that means that you can hit at range and make sure that you manage your targets and let no one get close to you. Warp speed is around 3 AU per second, which is quite good for a ship of this size. So again, velocity is something that you may want and may consider as something to improve in the build. Personally, yes, it is in terms of comfort. Using the ship a bit disappointing, moving from area to area, or when you need to clean up all the wrecks and move from wrecks to loot, can be slow and painful. But to be honest, in terms of combat effectiveness, I didn't sense any need to really up the max velocity, and you will see that in the rig management as well. So if we move now to the low slot, well, as I said, we need to ensure capacitor management, we need to ensure better tracking of fast moving target, and basically we need to ensure that our shields are taken care of and that we can regen and tank as effectively as possible. So first items that I want to go for is this medium battery. This is a lifesaver. Really, this is something that you should push for. It's a bit expensive. A small one could be sufficient. To be honest, I had this one lying around, so I kind of put it on the build as it was a battle cruiser size. But on my Omen trainer, I have a small one with laser weapons, and this is already quite sufficient to help you get a bit of extra energy in the heat of battle and be able to actively tank on your shield and also get a nice boost and continue firing on your target. So capacitor battery, small or medium depending on what you have in stock, is really essential. I wouldn't go without it. Second item, which is also a must, is a tracking computer. A tracking computer not only will increase your optimal range, so that's how I reach a 32 landmark in there. It will also give you a bit of tracking bonus, but the nicest is when you go into active mode. Even though you only have a 10-second window, it will significantly then increase both your range, and maximal range will go around 48 kilometers, which means you can snipe a ship like a frigate very easily at extreme range, and then let the other ship of the waves get in close, and when they are at 32 kilometers, open up and continuously fire until all the targets are destroyed. The other point here that I do like is that when you get a ship which slips past your attention, or because you were overwhelmed in the wave and get into your dead zone, which is, as I said before, like 10 kilometers range, then you can activate and most likely finish off the target before it can do any significant damage and start orbiting and speed tanking you in there. So again, tracking computer is a must. I wouldn't consider removing it from the build. Third mandatory item, the shield booster. The shield booster will help you stay in combat. It will help you regen your shield over time, and even though it has a significant activation cost, When you activate it simultaneously with the battery pack will give you a boost in capacitor energy and will help you get that cost avoided or negated over time. So that's how I basically manage my active tanking. I activate the battery pack, I activate the shield booster, and then I can continue fire at the same time and not reduce my capacitor level too much, and this is really good. Of course, if the battery is on cooldown and I still need to activate the shield booster just to avoid getting on the armor, then I will do it as well. But the idea is really to activate simultaneously the shield booster and the battery pack so that it compensates for the extra capacitor drain. Last low slot rig, sorry. This is the stabilizer. So again, this is something that we receive for free as part of the daily login rewards. It gives you a 5% increase in DPS, so that's how I reached this 245 landmark. This is where I would see opportunities for alternative builds. So this is where what you would put in place when you want to focus on DPS. If you want to be a bit more tanky, then you could go for an extra shield hardener or the adaptative version. The hardener is quite expensive. I just checked on the market, it's around 7 million. So yeah, that costs a lot of money. But if you take the adaptative version, I think it's around 100,000 K, so very cheap. Of course, the effectiveness is not the same, and the hardener is way better than the adaptative version, but it has a significant cost difference as well. So second option, get something around shield. Third option, as we mentioned, this is a very slow ship, so you could put an afterburner here, but personally I don't see the value. Yes, it will be comfy when you need to map up. Yes, it will be comfy when you want to move around and reduce the jump time, but to be honest, in a combat situation I didn't felt the need to get that extra speed. Really more getting the extra shielding or the extra DPS to get the target out of the sky a bit quicker. But the afterburners can be considered, but personally I don't see really the value of that in the build. Mid rig, you see I still have an open slot for a drone. I could fit a small drone or a mid-sized drone. I'm not a big fan of drones, they are expensive, and from time to time even I forget to take them back before warping, so I lose them, cost money, and to be honest, with the range you have, like 30 kilometers firing range, I'm not sure that the drone would be very useful unless you want to finish off a target that, as I mentioned, slipped past and went into your dead zone. So drone, most likely I'm gonna leave it empty. Then I have to Webifier. The Webifier is the critical component that will help you catch those small fleas that will orbit fast and close, potentially in PvP situation, or if you are overwhelmed in an anomaly, in high tier anomaly. I've seen some build with 3, to be honest. I know Captain Benzi presented his own version of the failings and he went for 3. Personally, I think it's an overkill. I mean, the first one reduces speed by 50%, the second one again by 50%, so it lands on a 25% overall speed compared to the nominal value. A third one will bring that to 12.5. Not sure that the difference would be so significant that it is worth it. So I prefer to go for an extra versatility and go for a Nosferatu. So again, it will help manage capacitor, because firing with this this behemoth is quite needs quite a lot of energy, and the battery is there to help, of course, yes, but the Nosferatu, if you get a small target, well, then it becomes an advantage for you because you can drain it and recharge a bit faster. Might compensate as well for the activation cost of the Webifier, even though it's not that much, but that's a nice addition. So I thought it would be more versatile to have the Nosferatu combined with 2 Webifier rather than having 3 Webifier. As regard the internals, so in terms of engineering rigs, I went for things that again sort of help the management of the capacitor. So you have the memory cell increase by 10.5% your overall capacitor, and then you get the control circuit prototype, which will help you recharge faster. So you get a 7.5% increase into the recharge cycle, which is nice. All of those were free of charge. They were given as part of the daily rewards. So again, this is something that will not cost you an arm and a leg. If you want to go for more effective rigs, you can, but that will be more expensive on the build. There is a third slot which I was lazy not to fill in because I didn't find anything that was so critical that I would like to have it. You could put there something to boost the speed. I think there is sort of an extra afterburner which would give you like 6% speed increase. Might be worth it, might be more comfy in the end, but I was not convinced that it would bring real value, so I prefer to keep the rigs and the box for maybe another ship and another configuration. On the offensive rigs, well, of course, you can try to buy stuff that will boost again your DPS. I checked the price for the decomposers boosters, but they were I mean, the price was quite indecent. I mean, you were in the 70 million range for the cheapest one. I mean, that's insane. Who would pay that kind of money to actually get like what, 5-10% more DPS? That's insane, and I would certainly not recommend to have that fitted. Of course, if you have the money, or if you happen to have one because you built one yourself, feel free, be my guest. But personally, I prefer to kind of strengthen shield capacity, so I went with 2 core defense, a charger which gives you a nice 12% boost in your overall shield hit points, and intermediate there, which basically reduce the capacitor need from a shield booster, which means that it will cost me less energy to activate it and maintain the active shield tanking. So I thought it was better to have that one rather than the third boost in the overall defense, because as I said, I'm more into getting the ship able to sustain and stay in the heat of battle as long as possible, and make sure that I can help my friends and be there and continue to wave after wave stay on the field and not need to warp out, regen and warp in again. So this is really what I wanted, a powerhouse that would stay in the heat of the battle, so that it would help my friends and then to go out and go in for recharge if we want to go for high tier anomalies. And so in a nutshell, this is really what you would see in my proposal here. I think it's quite a well balanced. I will certainly remove the stabilizers, because I mean 220, 230 DPS should be more than enough, and I do prefer to have a bit more tankiness. So I will probably go for hardener. It's a bit expensive. I have one lying around, I just need to pick it, and I will put that in place of the stabilizers and see a bit how the ships behave. But to be honest, I think that would be a more balanced build than the one here, which is a bit focused on optimizing the DPS. So skill wise, of course, none of us is reaching level 7 technology, so we can actually go into the battle cruisers skills. I myself still have like 1,000 hours to go before reaching tech 7, so it will be a long way before I can do anything there, but we can anyway go into the decomposer trait line. And as you can see here, I'm still training the medium. I will get up to the advanced decomposer afterward, so that will give me, as I said, extra tracking speed, even though it will be very marginal, but a hefty boost into the DPS, and when fully skilled, that will be a 20%. So basically that is also why I want to go for the shield hardener, because basically I know as well that I can compensate that with skills. okay, both because of the medium decomposer skills, but also because of the advanced medium decomposer that I have here, and that will give me again a slight increase in DPS over time. As you can see, level 2 4%, level 3 6%, quite linear. I will get some tracking speed there as well, and a bonus on the particle stabilizer, which I won't use because basically that will be removed from the ship's build. Other skills that may be useful are more on the shield operation, where of course you need to up the shield operation, which will reduce both the capacitor need and the activation time of your shield booster. And you can go as well for the advanced version, which will give you a bit of extra time and extra activation time in there, so it will still strengthen. If you go for the hardener, of course you can go for the shield hardening. You see that I'm not there yet because most of my shield are more armor tanks, so I don't have much in terms of skills there. But again, I will move to level 4 and then go into advanced shield hardening, so that will give you an edge there. Defense upgrade, nothing that I can do here, because basically I should get the battlecruiser, which is still locked, so there is nothing there that I can redo. So basically most of the skills that you want to focus on up to reaching tech level 7 will be in the shield and in the weapons, the decomposers themselves. Of course, any generic skills might be useful if you want to improve targeting, but that is very generic and applicable to any ship of the line, so I won't go into that direction. Voila, I hope that you enjoyed that video. It was helpful to you and give you insights on really what are the weaknesses of the ship, how to compensate for them and get quite a balanced build. I'm sure there are other builds that you can find and do with that, and potentially get a better DPS or better tankiness in terms of shield support, but this is how I do personally see that ship. I will post as well a second video where I kind of demonstrate how to use the ship, especially the sniping technique, where you can down the frigate at nearly 50 clicks before the rest of the wave can be engaged. It's a bit lengthy, 30 minutes, so you can watch the first wave and you will get the hints. If you want to refresh, you can watch the second wave. But I think it's important that not only do I showcase the build, but also how to use it in space and during encounters or anomalies clearing. Feel free to comment on the video if I need to improve things or change things, or if you like, you can hit the like button or the subscribe button. There will be other video coming with new builds as I get my ships ready and rolling. So please let me know what would be of interest to you, what topics I should cover potentially in this in this channel, and hope to see you soon. Bye bye for now.